Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unmasked, a Beyond Worthy podcast. My name is Rachel Peck. I am very excited to introduce an incredible guest today. Before we do it, I invite you to join me in a few deep breaths and just enjoy the present moment. That's where the joy is. So give yourself this gift. Take 1 or 2 intentional breaths. And then we'll kick it off. My guest today is Kirra Michel, who I am honored to have in the studio. I have met her twice before. I guess today is the second time. And I'll tell you about our first encounter, which I remember and she probably doesn't. But Kirra is a Peloton yoga instructor and also teaches yoga and meditation, I believe, in other areas. And she's also so much more than that. And we're going to get to learn all about that today. So I'm really excited to chat. Kirra's 3 words that she would use to describe herself are curious, resilient, and evolving. So Kirra, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, feeling good. The breaths at the start always help me. It's the reminder to stop and slow down. You know, in New York, we're just so busy. Mm-hmm. In cities, we're so busy. And it's always nice to check back in and ground and connect. So thank you.
Of course, I couldn't agree more. I would love to share how I got introduced to you and how this all came to be so that the audience gets some context. About 5 to 10 years ago, I got introduced to yoga through the Peloton app after finishing my college soccer career. And Kirra was the first ever yoga instructor and Peloton instructor that I went through a class with via the Peloton app virtually. And it was the first time that I dropped into yoga really seriously, and I just kept doing it. Kept following Kirra, kept following Peloton, and it's pretty crazy to be sitting with you right now for that reason. And then not only that, but a year ago, I was in Bryant Park in the center of New York City, and Kirra was the instructor on stage in front of hundreds of New Yorkers, which I want to hear what that's like. And I had a fangirl moment. I went up to Kirra at the end and was like, "You're awesome. I want to get a selfie." And I got a photo with you. And then last week, I was just like, man, I'm going to DM her on Instagram and just see if she wants to be a guest. Because I feel like so much of what I'm trying to put out into the world about pouring into yourself and knowing yourself and who we are beyond our labels is really aligned with a lot of the language you would use in your yoga classes. So that's kind of the story, and here we are. I love this.
Well, and I just even love Unmasked because in my classes I teach a lot about unbecoming, right? Which is like peeling away all the stories, the narratives that we've collected along the way, whether they're from ourselves and our trauma or even great things, you know, like being a collegiate soccer player and then having to remove that identity for yourself. And for me, being a dancer and a gymnast and then not. And so I think a lot of it, and especially from a spiritual sense, is unlearning who we've been taught that we are to really rediscover or remember. Like we're literally pulling different pieces of ourselves back together to be like, oh, this is actually, I'm not that label. I'm not this story. I'm not that trauma. They're all things we experience, but the soul essence of who I am is not that. And so I even love the name of the podcast. So I was like, absolutely, let's do it.
Let's do it. And here we are. Is there a defining moment that you can think of where you notice that shift in stepping away from identities or who you've been told to be?
There's not one moment. Oh gosh, there's many different moments. I mean, I was a surfer, a dancer, a gymnast, a mover, and I lived and breathed it as I was a child and in my early teens. And over time, with gymnastics, I just have to clarify this. There's 2 different types of women's gymnastics. There's artistic and there's rhythmic. I'm not the type of gymnast that people think of. It's the rib and the ball, the hoop, the clubs. It's flexibility versus tumbling. Okay, I just want to I don't know why I need to put that out there, but I do. And it was my full identity, and I got to level 10, and there's 10 levels, and then you either go elite or you stop. There's nothing else. And I wasn't, like I always did well, but like I always came third, never came first, you know. So it was time just to release that And that identity, which I'd been since I was 5 years old, was a lot. And even just, I studied architecture and that became my identity. And especially being a female in a very masculine dominated industry and being this blonde girl, and people would look at me and they're like, oh, you're studying architecture? And there was just such pride behind, yes, I'm studying, yeah, absolutely. Why, you know? Mm-hmm. And then I just remember I deferred uni, and for years when people would ask me what I'm doing, I would still say, oh, you know, I was working in architecture and I've deferred because I wasn't ready to let that go.
Wow.
So there's many different times in my life where releasing those labels have been really, really confronting, you know? Mm-hmm. We're such a label-driven society. And even just with food for me, I've gone through I've been vegetarian for most of my life. I was vegan for a little bit, pescatarian, and now I'm just like, let's not use the labels. I do what feels right for me when it feels right, and I live with as many morals and values as I can for myself. And sometimes that works in labels and sometimes it doesn't.
Oh, man. That's so real. One thing I've definitely been learning over the last few years is just how to listen to what my body wants, what my body needs, what my mind, like what my soul needs. And I was vegan for 3 years as well, actually. And I remember it got to the point towards the end of my veganism mm-hmm. that I was like, oh, I can't have that, can't mm-hmm. have this. Mm-hmm. And it just felt like not being able to embrace what I wanted mm-hmm. and needed mm-hmm. felt really restrictive and defining.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was unhealthy.
Yeah.
And so I understand that, just even the removal of labels, even if you still are choosing to eat plant-based foods.
Yeah. And I guess that's one of the words that we can kind of like curious. I'm curious about a lot of things. And I like to think I'm open-minded. I want to know why you're vegan. I want to know how that works for you. I want to know why the meat eater, like, I just want to learn. I can see costs and benefits to all of them. And I can understand why a vegan person wants to be vegan. I can understand why a meat eater wants to, like, I really just try to be as curious as I can. And I want to do that for myself. And sometimes that's easier said than done because we do hold these heavy labels upon ourselves. And it's like, well, I don't do that. So it does become really restrictive. But can we get a little more curious? And even what you're saying with getting curious around listening to my body, I think this is a really big thing that people, humans, especially women, have just been taught to override feelings, emotions, their bodies, everything from the neck down. You know, we've become really disembodied. And I think and believe that there's so much wisdom in the body. I like to say we're just collecting data, right? Like, it's not good, not bad, not right, not wrong. And you've heard me say that in class many times. Like, we're not here to judge. Mm-hmm. Can we just take note? Can we collect data? And then we choose to use that data how we choose to use it. Before the podcast, we were talking about the aura ring and how it's told you that, you know, when you eat late, then your sleep tends to be affected. Okay, that's good data to know. Okay, maybe I won't eat late, or maybe I won't eat sweets late. But other data, you just like, you don't have to do something with all of it. But can I use the data that I collect, whether it is through something external like an aura ring, or can I just sit in meditation? Can I sit with myself? How do I feel when I'm around this person or this group of people? How do I feel when I, you know, can we start to really listen to ourselves, collect data, and then course correct? And even course correct, I think, is the wrong terminology, but like just shift and flow and move with the changes as we begin to really know ourselves from a deeper, more intrinsic wisdom sense versus an external validation and approval sense.
I think that was where I had a lot of breakthrough in meditation, when I was able to sit, acknowledge my thoughts, mm-hmm. give them the love and embrace, whether mm-hmm. they were negative or positive, and take note, collect data. Yeah. Like, oh, that's interesting. I'm having that thought over and over and over, mm-hmm. and yet I'm not going to judge myself for it.
Yeah.
Like, I see you.
Yeah.
And it's not the best. It's not the most comfortable, but I see you, I acknowledge you, and I'm going to put you to the side and love myself instead.
I love it. One of my teachers always says, invite it in for a cup of tea, but don't let it stay all day. You know, when we try to push something away, that monster becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it'll come out sideways. Or if we just totally succumb to it, the thoughts, right? Like the thoughts, if we let the thoughts come, they will come like a washing machine and throw us all the way around. It's like, how do we find that soft in between of, hi, I see you. And also, this is where spirituality, yoga, Buddhism has really helped me, is just the acknowledgement that we are not our thoughts. And I think it's Pema Chodron. I feel like I should know this by now because I say it so much. We're not the clouds in the sky. We're the clear blue sky underneath. And the sky and the weather will come. And if we cling on and grip onto it, it's like the hail and the thunder throwing us around. Or can we work on non-attachment, releasing that and let it come and let it go? Like sit there, acknowledge it. Oh, this feels like a lot. I can feel this in my heart. I feel this in my stomach. I feel this in my throat. Can I start to soften through these areas rather than just ignore them? And then we can do what you're saying. I like to bring a hand to my heart. I feel like physical touch is such a big, important thing that so many of us miss out on. And our minds don't always know the difference between someone else's physical touch and our own. So especially during COVID, when I was teaching classes, I'd be like, literally put your hand on your heart. And not on your shirt, but on your heart, or hug yourself. We need that physical contact. And just saying, I see you. And it's okay.
There's been many moments in your yoga classes where I remember we would be in like Shavasana at the end of a class, or maybe even at the beginning sometimes. But before we would finish the practice, you would ask that everyone get in a ball and, you know, hug your knees, wrap your arms around yourself, give yourself this giant hug and tell yourself you love yourself and that you're proud.
Yeah.
And I remember one time you said, if that's hard for you, say it again.
Yeah.
Because you need to be able to say that. And I want to know where that comes from. Was it hard for you to say that?
It comes from self.
Yeah.
Girl. It comes from self. If someone told me that I would be telling myself I love you and I'm proud of you, I would just be like, you don't know me. Like, I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy. I can tell you every single thing I've ever done wrong and sit in shame and sit in guilt. And the idea of allowing myself to be loved by myself was like, that's not okay, you know? And so I say it because I was that girl who was rolling her eyes, who was like swearing at the TV, being like, why would you make us do this? It's so stupid. You're so stupid. Like the little, you know? And so I say it because I know it. I know the refusal. I know that we're not there yet. You don't deserve this yet. And it's like, it makes me so sad to think about that. And that's the little girl. And so usually it's not always if I have time, because I'm always pressed for time. I always want the class to be like an hour longer than whatever it is. But if there's time, what I usually say is like, wrap yourself up in a ball and I want you to envision. And this isn't mine. I don't know where I picked it up from. There's a lot of things that I've picked up along the way. And if I could give credit to whoever created these things, I would. No idea. Wrap yourself up really, really tight. And I want you to envision that you're at the airport. And you're seeing someone that you adore and you haven't seen them in like 3 or 4 months. Because this is me. I grew up in Australia. My family are all in Australia and I'm in New York. And so when I go to the airport, literally I'm just like, oh my God. And like just tears are streaming and we're hugging so tight. You know, you don't want to let go. So like that's the envisionment. Who is this? It's my little brother. It's my niece. It's my nephews. And I'm just like, I just don't want to let them go. I want to eat them up. I love them so much. Aww. And then I usually say, okay, now release that person or the animal. It could be anything or anyone that you just have that deep, deep, endless love for. And now replace it with yourself. And there's that refusal again for so many of us. So then it's like, if it is not the version of yourself today, that's okay. Who can you sit with? And a lot of the time, all the time, I think, there's this little boy or little girl who's like, just needs support that they didn't get. And it doesn't matter how wonderful or not wonderful your parents were. There's times in our lives where we're like, oh, I needed a little bit more there. And so can you wrap that one up and say, I love you. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Man, I'm like getting emotional
so
over
am
here. I'm thinking about the evolution of where I started with that even like 10 years ago and where I've come now.
How was that for you?
It was tough to confront the resistance to being able to say I love you to myself.
It's almost gross.
It is. It's like, that's not allowed.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
No.
Nah.
To say I'm proud of myself? What?
Especially coming from sports.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
You know, and sports are phenomenal and they teach us discipline and community and team playing. Not for me, but for you, team playing. Gymnastics is a solo sport. Dance is team.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we're always looking at our downfalls rather than what's good.
Exactly. And it's actually one of the things about the program I'm in that I am loving. I'm in the Spirit, Mind, Body program at Columbia. And one of the classes I take is positive psychology. And it's all about, it's amazing. It's all about How can we look at our strengths and what we love about ourselves, what we do good in the world, rather than look at our deficits and what's wrong with us? And that in itself is just a huge shift.
Yeah. Well, and I love the term zone of genius. I don't know if there's a book, it's really good. Basically, I'm not going to go into the book, but the zone of genius, I always think about it as in, this is what I'm really good at. I'm not supposed to be good at all the things. If you get me to sit down in front of a computer or do tax stuff or numbers or like, I'm really creative. I'm very Vata. If you know, you know. I'm a creative. My brain is all over the place and I can't get anything done. But I'll come up with all the ideas and start every single one of them and not finish anything. And if you make me sit down and put everything into a spreadsheet, my brain explodes. I don't know how to do it. My zone of genius is teaching. My zone of genius is being a student. My zone of genius is moving my body. That's what I love to do. Someone else's zone of genius is being my tax guy. He's so good, you know, like, and we're not supposed to be good at everything. I feel like adults, especially in the West, we can't let anyone see that we're not good. We have to come in and be experts at everything. And it's like, it's not the way we work. Everyone is not supposed to be good at all the things. You have a zone of genius. And once you discover what it is, which you've already discovered what yours is, and I've discovered what mine is. And thank goodness, because before I let myself discover, I felt really lost. But can we all really focus in on what we're good at rather than looking at all the ways that we suck at other things? You're supposed to suck at everything, like not everything else. Like,
I love what just happened there because you were expressing it's all about being in the present and then just had a huge pause.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to fill it with saying silent. It's all about the silence as well. There's something so profound about a moment of pause. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's very healing in a way. And I don't think we leave enough room for silence always because it's uncomfortable and we always want to fill the space.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I would love to rewind.
Okay, go ahead.
Kirra, we got to know where you came from growing up in Australia, or I'm guessing that's where you grew up, and just want to know how you came to New York. Tell us about your childhood in Australia and just the journey to getting to New York City.
Okay, so technically, I'm American first.
Oh.
I was actually, my dad's from New York. My mum is from Delaware. I was born in Santa Cruz, California.
No way.
So I'm a Californian girl.
Wow. Okay, this is shocking.
Spanner in the works. And my dad is a surfer. So my parents were both hippies, still are. Thank goodness. And also, all of the above. And so they just like backpacked and traveled and went all around America and South America and Mexico, just chasing the waves, and chased them all the way down to Australia. And dad fell in love with Australia, came back over. He had a 3-year-old, my older brother. And then I was 3 months old. And he's like, we're packing up, we're moving to Australia. What? Yeah, and the concept of that now, like it's just the way I was raised. That's just what my parents did. But the concept of that now just blows my mind. He's a builder, so he could work in Australia. Mum's a school teacher, so she could work in Australia. But imagine having a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old and moving to a different country, not knowing a soul. He had no job to come to. He had to find work. And they definitely weren't rich. And how times have changed. And the courage, and I can't imagine having a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old and doing it on your own in a different country. But they did, and they moved to originally Byron Bay, which is heaven on earth. And it was very much a hippie granola town back then, and still no one wears shoes really. Everyone's a surfer. It's like yoga capital of Australia. Everyone is a yogi. Everyone meditates, and then moved down like 15, 20 minutes south to Lennox. I like Lennox even better. It's less discovered. It's a really tiny, tiny town. I went to school and I think there was 6 people in my year. So it was like a small, very small. And it was just a really protected, really secure, safe, beautiful early childhood. Immersed in nature 24/7, either on the beach, in the water, surfing. I was a junior surf lifesaver. It's a cute thing that Australians do. All the kids, they're called nippers. And they all wear these little hats, and there's just like, I feel like there's hundreds, there's probably not, but I feel like there's hundreds of kids in these little hats just like running up and down the beach, surfing, swimming, just learning how to be little lifeguards.
Aww.
And then the school that I went to, Fernley, it's in nature. Like, do you remember, I don't know how old you are. Did you ever watch Fern Gully?
No.
Damn it. I had a feeling. I had a feeling.
Shoot.
For those of you who know Fern Gully, like that, it's like a magical fairy movie cartoon from when I was a child. And it's based off the area very close to where I'm from. It's like magical.
Okay, everyone go check it out.
It's an old movie now. But yeah, so so I'm 39. I don't know how I feel like I'm 28. Don't know how I'm 39, but grew up without a cell phone, without a mobile phone, and being immersed in nature. I didn't realize I was meditating like all throughout my childhood. You know, if I had issues with my parents, I'd go sit by the beach for like an hour or two. And when you're surfing, don't get me wrong, there was like 5 of us girls surfing, and we'd go out and we'd just be loud and obnoxious in the water. We'd sing, and I'm sure all the guys were like, oh God, the girls are out again. But like in between the sets, sometimes it's just silent and you're just there. You're watching, you know, the sunrise or the sunset, and you're there in the elements. And sometimes you're being thrashed around. You feel like you're going to die in the water. And other times it's silent and still, and everything comes up, you know. Even surfing is such a meditative sport if you want it to be. And everything arises. There's fear that arises, there's joy that arises, and everything in between. There's community. It's amazing. So being in so much nature, I just didn't realize, I had no idea that there was such a meditative state that was built into me. Wow. Gosh, I'm trying to figure out how to get to where we are today. How did Kirra get to New York? God, I'm going to skip a lot. Anyway, studied architecture in uni, and I was putting myself through school, and I was working. I was working in retail, and also in a firm, an architecture firm. I was just burning the candle at both ends. I was really depressed. I've suffered from depression since, I was diagnosed at 14. And so I've used movement and I've used productivity as a coping mechanism forever. Yeah. And those two things, it's interesting because people really, they love when you're good at something, you know, they love when you're productive. So these two different coping mechanisms were really beneficial for me, but also kind of ate me alive. And it was just getting to be too much. And I remember I was in the middle of a project. I finished it at like 2 a.m. on a Sunday and shut my computer, went to work the next day and said I quit. And they're like, wait, what? What? And I was like, yeah, I'm done. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to go. I'm going to leave. So I went to school the next day and deferred. Do you guys defer here? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. I sometimes I don't know what. I've been here for 15 years. Sometimes I don't know what goes where and if there is a crossover or not. So I packed up all my stuff and I moved to Melbourne. So I was living in Sydney. Moved to Melbourne. I worked in hospitality and retail because I don't know how to have one job at a time. This is like, I'm just, since I was, I think 11, I've had like 2 jobs.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I know, it's silly.
Grinder. Okay.
It's the only thing I knew, you know? And so I was doing that and there was just no purpose. There was no like, what am I doing? Where do I want to be? What do I want to do? And my heart just aches when I don't know what I'm doing. And I got into a place within Melbourne that didn't feel healthy for me. It really didn't feel like it was taking me in the right direction. So after I signed my lease for a year, someone else had the lease and I signed a lease like with him. So it was easy to get out of. But I went for a walk. I was like, I'm going to find a new job. I'm going to find something that brings me some passion and some joy. And instead I walked into a travel agent. Oh God. And came home with an around the world ticket. And this is the second time I'd done an around the world ticket. I did the first one when I was 18, solo travel. And then the second one was I was going to Indonesia, India, Singapore, Qatar, New York. Very eat, love, pray, but not spiritual.
Eat, pray, love.
Eat, love, pray. Same diff, you know? But yeah, I wasn't spiritual. I wanted nothing to do with it. Growing up in that town where everyone seemed like that's what it was all about, I rejected it so hard. I grew up with like Ram Dass in the background, cassette tapes. You know, my dad's a Buddhist. I hated it. My dad's a yoga teacher. I wanted nothing to do with it.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, it's really interesting even just hearing you describe your childhood and like this unknown meditation and form of yoga that you were already engaging with from such a young age and just surrounded by it. And for so long, you could have never imagined that for yourself.
Yeah, there was a deep rejection. Well, you know what it's, well, I don't know if you do know, it's like when a parent is like, this is the way. And so, like I said, dealt with depression from early ages. And when the answer was always meditate, I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel validated. It just was like, this is what you need to do. And I was just going through a lot. My parents divorced at 11, and that's where there was a really big, this perfect, peaceful, beautiful life-ish growing up that was light and joy for like most of it. And then there's a lot of darkness. There was the light got turned off and there was just a tremendous amount of darkness. And I just couldn't relate. I couldn't relate to Ram Dass and all of his white, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist men who kind of came together and just like, you know, I wasn't any of those things. I'm not Indian. I don't know how to just go sit in the Himalayas and meditate. Like I don't relate to any of these people. I can't do this.
Wow.
And so I didn't want anything to do with it. Yeah.
I think that is so relatable to so many people, especially the way that people just say, just go meditate and go sit in silence. And like, that is scary and really hard when we spend so little time wanting to sit with our thoughts as well. So I'm curious, even for someone who is feeling that or has felt that, in what ways did you find things that were more relatable for you that ultimately led to turning the light back on?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, especially because we're busy. We create busyness so that we don't have to listen, so we don't have to feel, because we don't want to sit in silence. Mm-hmm. We have not been trained to be still and to listen to ourselves.
Yeah.
And it honestly wasn't until I moved to New York, and because I was running away, like I was running from myself. I was running from depression. And, you know, that old saying, like, wherever you go, there you are. I'm like, I'm in the middle of India and I'm depressed. I'm in the middle of all these different places. I'm depressed. I actually wanted to go to India because I wanted to see how great I had it. I wanted to see the slums. I wanted to see what was going on. And they were the most joyous kids I've ever seen. The kids in the slums who had nothing. And they were just like lit up. And I'm like, wow, okay. I think perspective is really, really helpful, but it still doesn't stop the fact that you're dealing with depression. You know, like I think a part of that was a bypass. See, I shouldn't be depressed. And I think we can hold so many different beliefs at once, and someone who has a lot less than you can be really, really joyous, and you can still be going through a really hard time and have trauma and different things you're working through. So not comparing yourself with someone else who you perceive has less than.
I go back all the time to how frequently we compare ourselves to the highlight reel of social media and seeing people on social media whose lives look perfect.
Oh my God, no one's lives are perfect.
And they're beautiful and they're put together and they have the most amazing job and the best friends and the most amazing husband or wife or whatever it might be. Yeah. And being like, my life sucks. Yeah. But then the recognition of that is the highlight reel. Yeah. And what you are seeing as a complete outsider. Yeah. And to be able to step back and be like, you have no idea what those people are going through, and trying to turn the attention back to what fills my cup, what makes me happy, what makes me fulfilled. Yeah. That doesn't have to be shiny.
And this is the thing. We spoke about this on the way up. Joy in the presence. Like, can you smell the flowers? I've got friends who have so much money. I've got a friend who has so much money, doesn't know what to do with it. You know, like, I've never met someone like that before. I'm like, oh, that's a thing? That's a legit thing?
Yeah.
And money doesn't make you happy, right? You can get all the accolades. You can have all the shiny objects. You can have the dream job. And I look at my life, and from the highlight reel, it looks perfect. And there's parts of it that I am like in deep, deep gratitude and so proud of myself. And I have a gratitude practice daily, multiple times a day, and I just have to sit there and be like, whoa, this is crazy, but there's so much that people don't see. And just because there's shininess, it doesn't automatically bring the joy with it.
Yeah.
Right? It's more about the mindset. It's all about the mindset. You could have nothing and be so joyous, and you can have everything and just have lack mentality. And it's not, or scarcity mentality. And I definitely grew up with scarcity mentality. Like, I didn't have much. And then the more I have, I'm afraid to lose it. It's your mind. Can we work with what the mind, and it's fear, you know? So I'm reading A Course in Miracles right now, which I can't stop talking about. Every single person who knows me knows I'm reading it. I'm also working with I've got a mentor, and she is Indian, and she lives in India and grew up in a yoga ashram. And we're just doing yoga, philosophy, and psychology together. And I'm just eating it up. I love it. And then I'm listening to Joe Dispenza and jumping back into the Bhagavad Gita. And there's so many similarities that are moving through all of these. I'm trying to figure out why I'm talking about this again.
This happens all the time.
Where did these all come from? The joy, right? Like, it's not about, you know, yoga speaks so much of non-attachment and all these different books and beliefs. It's all about the mind. What are you attached to? What are you holding on to? What are you pushing away from? How we perceive life. Like, life doesn't change. Our perception of life changes, and how we perceive it changes, right? I was really, really angry. Like, rage was something that from the darkness of my teenage years, I was alone, and I felt like I had to fight the world. I felt like everything and everyone was dangerous. So I walked around with this massive armory, and I was very angsty, and everything was F you, get away from me. No one's safe. And because that's how I walked through life, that's what I got back. And so it just reinforced, see, it's all bad. Everyone's dangerous. And then working on that for so long, working on that for a really, really, really long time, and really trying to soften around that, not armoring, and finding the softness and the strength within that, I started relating to the world differently, and the world started relating to me differently. And nothing else changed except from my perspective.
Oh, wow. That's huge. Mindset, perspective. Also, the gratitude practice that you have, I imagine, was really helpful once you started implementing that regularly. And the reason I bring it up is because I know it did for me.
Yeah.
Like, being able to find gratitude for the smallest things and intentionally do it daily allows it to translate to moments that are more unexpected. Like, if you have this structure of gratitude in the morning, let's say, and you're doing it consistently, it's automatically generating these positive emotions towards life, towards yourself, even if you don't fully believe them in that exact moment. And then I think it just becomes more automatic as you walk through the world. And then 1 second you can be like, wow, just walking through the streets of New York, and I'm so grateful that I'm probably living someone's dream right now.
God. 1000%.
Yeah, and I actually have been saying that a lot to myself recently. When I'm in a funk, or when I'm in a mood, or when I'm mad at the world, whatever it might be, I'm just like, I think you might be living someone's dream.
You're not even think.
Yeah.
1000% you're living someone's, and not one person, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, like, dream. You're here. You can afford to be here. And that's the thing. It's like, with the gratitude practice, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to sit down and write it out. Like, let's kind of simplify some of this stuff. I do it when I'm in bed. I wake up, and not every single morning. And if I forget one morning, I'm not berating myself, but I'm just like, oh, I get to go turn on, like, let's not do the gratitude for all the big things. Let's not do the gratitude because you've got the job, or you've got the partner, or you've got the wedding or the birthday. Let's do the gratitude. I get to wake up and have a hot shower. Oh, yeah. That's kind of crazy. I get to wake up and turn on the tap and put the water through the filter, and I get to drink water. Going through India, it was bucket showers, and they're cold bucket showers. I was backpacking, my friend. It's awesome. I was living it. You know, I get to, when it's hot, I get to turn on the AC. When it's cold, I get to turn on the heater. I have so many clothes to choose from, way too many clothes to choose from, and still have nothing. Like, these, I say this at the end of the yoga class a lot of the time too. Can we find gratitude for what works physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Like, I don't have to get my body to digest. It just digests. Like, I don't have to ask for my heart to beat. Like, there's so many things that we just overlook. And yeah, we don't have to believe the things that we're feeling grateful for yet. But can you find the things that we actually are grateful for? I get to breathe right now. You know, and that wasn't always something that I felt grateful for. There was dark times where I was like, oh, I don't want to be breathing right now. To be really like honest with you.
Yes.
But even in that moment, I still get to have a shower. There's still things that work. I get to move my body. Does it move the way I want it to move? Does it look the way I think it should look? Does it? No, not always. But what about the ways that it does work for us?
And I think we gain so much perspective from moments where we lose something and then are able to find gratitude for it. For example, I went through a really significant injury when I was in high school and barely was walking. I couldn't even walk around my tiny little living room.
Do you mind?
No, I don't mind at all. I had compartment syndrome in my calves.
Okay.
And for a long period of time, they were constantly tight, rock solid.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
They were so tight. I would be playing
And
soccer.
soccer is your joy.
Yeah. And I just was like, maybe I'm too unfit. I need to stretch more. And then someone was like, oh, you might have compartment syndrome. Let's test that for you. And the test was unbearable.
Oh, geez.
I mean, they stick these long, thick needles into each compartment of your calf,
Oh my God.
which is 4 in each calf. And then you have to go run on the treadmill.
No.
And then run back once your feet start going numb, because that's what happens is the fascia is restricting the muscles of your calf. And then you run back to the office once your feet kind of start to tingle. And then they test it again with the needles. All that to say, I had it. It was very obvious. And I had to get surgery. And then my wounds got infected. And I was on crutches and was carrying around a wound vacuum.
Yeah.
All of the things. It was a lot. And there was a period of time where I just couldn't walk far at all without being out of breath, being in so much pain. And I just remember after that, when I was able to walk, I would park so far away from the entrance of the shop.
Yeah.
Or something that would just promote movement because I was so grateful.
Yeah.
But I don't think it has to be that we only find gratitude when something happens or we gain the perspective in India. We can start now.
Yeah. I had the story that in order to grow or learn, it has to be hard. And that was a belief that I wore that. It has to be hard. And I'm a believer, and not everyone feels like this, but I'm a believer that every single hard thing you go through, no matter how horrific it is, I think there's lessons for us in those areas. And we can learn about ourselves, we can learn about the world, we can learn about our mind. But I also had to really peel that away, that it doesn't have to be hard. And in fact, we actually learn faster. You probably know this. We learn faster in a state of joy. Like, think about songs. I can remember songs that I love that I haven't heard for 20 years, and I can remember every single lyric. But as I'm sitting down trying to study something that I'm not into and I don't want to do it and I'm forcing it into my brain, it does not stay. You know, kids, they learn through joy. And we can gain perspective through the small things, through joy. But polarity is definitely a teacher.
Yes.
A harsh teacher. And sometimes we need to get our butts kicked. Humans are really stubborn. We don't really like to learn things half the time until we have no other choice. But it's all true. We can learn through ease, through joy, through hardship, through pain. Yeah.
They can also all coexist. I think that's an important reminder. Okay, I want to shift gears a bit and just ask you some things centered around one of your main jobs that you've had in New York, which has been Peloton. And I mean, at one point when we were together before hitting record, you mentioned that, you know, if someone would have asked you if you would have been teaching yoga on this platform, would you have guessed that? And you were like, absolutely not. Do you know me?
Wrong person.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'd love to hear more about that and also what it's been like to navigate this shift in just having a larger platform and being more well known and having the type of fame that someone might recognize you in a coffee shop, or a fan like me really wants a selfie with you after your yoga class, and what that experience has been like entering this world with Peloton and where you are now. That was part 1 of this episode. Please stay tuned for part 2 coming very soon. Hey everyone, before you go, please click the subscribe button. And if you have any desire to further support the mission of Unmasked, there is a link in the comment section of all of my episodes that says support the show. Feel free to click on that. There is an option to donate anywhere from $1 and beyond monthly or one time. So do that if it feels aligned. Otherwise, would love for you to keep listening and return to Unmasked as always. Thanks.